While combing his daughter's hair, the father discovered a huge wound stitched shut with steel nails.
What is it?
Just a tangle.
He wasn't surprised by this at all. It turned out that just the day before, his daughter had already died in a car accident. He was the one who personally buried his daughter in the cemetery. But the eerie thing was, his daughter miraculously came back to life.
Daddy. Where am I?
The story begins a few days earlier. The protagonist, Louis, is a doctor. On this day, he was driving with his wife, Rachel, their daughter, Ellie, and son, Peter, to their new house in the suburbs. When they arrived, looking at the brand new house before them, their hearts were filled with hope for their future life. The only downside was the road in front of the house, where large trucks often passed by. In the blink of an eye, it was the next day. Louis went to work at the hospital, as usual. Rachel stayed home with their daughter, tidying up some clutter. When they went out to take out the trash, they suddenly saw a group of strange children passing through the woods. They were pushing the corpse of a pet, wearing pet masks on their faces, as if performing some kind of ritual. Rachel didn't want to get involved, so she called her daughter to go back inside. But she completely underestimated just how strong a child's curiosity can be. Ellie, while her mom wasn't paying attention, followed the direction those children had gone. Soon, she saw a sign. It read, Pet Cemetery. Looking at the small tombstones scattered on the ground, she realized that the pet's body had just been buried here. Suddenly, she saw a pile of branches ahead, as if deliberately blocking something. Driven by curiosity, she instinctively crawled toward the pile of wood.
Hey, get down from there.
In her panic, Ellie got stung by a bee. An old man then walked over and helped her pull out the stinger. It turned out he was Justin, the neighbor of Ellie's family, living not far away. Seeing Ellie walking over alone, he followed to check on the situation. While chatting, he pointed to a small tombstone behind him, saying his former dog was buried there. Not long after, Rachel came looking for her. After briefly thanking Justin, she pulled her daughter back. It was clear that Justin really liked this little girl. Then, Justin turned to look deep into the pet cemetery, as if knowing what secrets were hidden there. The next day, Louis received a critically ill patient while at work. The patient, Tom, had been hit by a passing truck, crushing half his body. Seeing Tom was about to give up. Despite Louis's efforts, he couldn't pull him back from the brink of death. He silently walked aside. Suddenly, the light started flickering.
This barrier was not meant to be broken.
Louis.
Looking at the corpse before him, Louis thought everything that just happened was just a hallucination from too much stress. But on his way home from work, he still couldn't help thinking about what Tom said. So much so that he almost crashed into a passing truck on the roadside. Fortunately, nothing bad happened. The next day, Ellie went to visit Justin to thank him and invited him to have a meal at their home. For lonely Justin, such warm moments were very rare, and he quickly blended into this little family. At night, Louis kept hearing someone calling his name while sleeping, and even saw Tom's figure on the window. He instinctively turned and followed him out. But eerily, when he stepped out of his house, he directly arrived at the pet cemetery. As Tom's figure disappeared ahead, his voice came through. He said crossing that woodpile leads to the land of the dead. Just as Louis was about to climb up,
Stop! The ground is sour!
he woke up and realized it was just a dream. But when getting up, looking at the mud on his feet, he knew he must have been to that place. Just then, his wife walked over. He quickly covered himself with the blanket to avoid being discovered by his wife. Soon, he got ready and went out with his daughter. Because it was Halloween, he and his daughter were going to decorate. Then he noticed Justin standing not far away, calling him over quietly with a grave expression. It turned out Ellie's favorite cat had been hit by a truck. When his daughter walked over, he still couldn't bring himself to tell her the news. He planned to spend the holiday with his daughter first, then deal with the pet's body. But Justin suddenly said,
And Louis, we should do this tonight.
Louis didn't pay much attention after hearing it. By evening, he and his wife decided not to tell their daughter the news yet. Then he went with Justin to the pet cemetery. Sure enough, the scene here was exactly like in his dream. But just as he was digging, Justin asked a bunch of strange questions.
He really loved that cat, didn't she? More than anything. And you love Ellie. Of course.
Then, as if making some decision, he led Louis deeper in. They climbed over a woodpile, crossed a stream, until they climbed a small hill. Only then did Justin stop. He then told Louis to bury the pet cat right there. When Louis asked why, Justin didn't say much either. The next morning, Louis and his wife planned to explain the pet's death to their daughter. However, After hearing it, their daughter said it had been outside the window all last night. Louis looked at the window and indeed saw a row of footprints. Following the footprints, he opened the cabinet door and looked at the cat. Louis even wondered if it had just been knocked unconscious back then. With this question, he went to find Justin, but the other's reply was still that same strange talk. Clearly, he still didn't want to tell Louis the truth. After returning home, Louis tried to find relevant information online. After searching around, he only saw a picture of a child wearing a pet mask. As for Ellie, while brushing the cat, she noticed it was covered in a foul smell. Suddenly, the cat scratched her aggressively. Not only that, Louis was also scratched when he carried it out of the room. Right after he went looking for the cat, he fell into another hallucination.
Your destruction, the destruction of all you love, is very near, Doctor.
The next day, he was drawing with his daughter when he suddenly heard his son crying upstairs. When he went up, he saw the cat standing on his son with a strong, aggressive tendency. So he immediately picked up his son and left. He then went to find Justin again, asking about the specific story of the cemetery. This time, Justin didn't hide it from him. It turned out he had also buried his dog in the cemetery to bring it back to life. But the resurrected dog became extremely aggressive. As a result, his father killed the dog again. That cemetery used to be an altar belonging to Native Americans, but it was later corrupted by an evil force, which is what Tom and Louis's hallucination called rotted. Any creature resurrected there would be possessed by an evil spirit, making them highly aggressive. Justin then apologized to Louis and said something profound.
Once you feel the power of that place, you make up the sweetest smelling reasons to go back. When I was wrong. Sometimes dead is better.
After returning home, Louis immediately arranged euthanasia for the cat, but looking into its eyes, he couldn't bring himself to do it, so he could only release it into the wild outside the city. Little did he know that this decision would drag his entire family into an abyss. In the blink of an eye, it was time for their daughter's birthday party. Ellie was clearly very sad about the cat being gone. Seeing this, Louis brought out the toy he had prepared earlier. He then played hide and seek with the kids. Ellie hid by the roadside, and as soon as she turned her head, she saw the cat not far away. She immediately ran up to the cat. However, her little brother, seeing his sister was gone, also ran down the road to look for her. Just then, an accident suddenly happened.
Guys!
The couple attended their daughter's funeral. Louis looked at Judd. The meaning in his gaze was unmistakable. Overwhelmed by grief, the wife took their son to stay at her parents' house for a while. Louis sat alone in the house. Looking at Judd in the distance, it seemed he had made a decision in his heart. He then took some alcohol and went to find Judd. While Judd wasn't paying attention, he slipped in some knockout drops. After Judd fell asleep, he took a shovel and went to the cemetery where his daughter was buried. He then dug her up. Immediately after, he carried his daughter to that pet cemetery.
Louis, stop.
I'm sorry I couldn't help you.
You have to let her go.
We can fix this.
It's okay. It's okay. There's nothing there.
Louis finally arrived at that small hill. He carefully buried his daughter's body there. He then returned home and quietly waited for a miracle to happen. Not long after, he heard noises downstairs. Going downstairs, he discovered it was his daughter's beloved cat. Then, walking to the door, he was shocked to see a trail of muddy footprints on the ground. He followed the footprints to the basement.
Daddy. Grandma.
He hugged his daughter, overcome with emotion. He then washed the dirt off her body. As Louis was combing her hair, he discovered the stitched wounds still on his daughter's head. He then took his daughter back inside to rest, but Ellie seemed to be aware of everything that had happened to her.
No, Dad.
No. You're here.
Will you stay with me?
Of course.
Even though Louis knew this might no longer be his daughter, the grief of losing a loved one left him with no regrets. Even if his daughter's body was now occupied by another soul, time quickly moved to the next day. Louis went downstairs and found his daughter wearing the clothes she was buried in, dancing frantically in the living room. However, her dancing grew increasingly violent.
Did you put the dress back on?
Then, his wife called, but Louis didn't answer. Rachel had no choice but to call Justin and asked him to go check on the house. When he arrived at Louis's home, he keenly noticed the dirt on Louis's hands, so he gave his final warning.
If you've done something, Louis, it's not too late to undo it.
After saying that, he headed home. But when he looked back, he was horrified to see Ellie watching him from the window. Seeing this, he immediately went home and took out the pistol from the drawer. Suddenly, a noise from upstairs caught his attention. However, after looking around, he found that it was just a photo that had fallen on the floor. Just as he sighed in relief and was about to go downstairs, he turned and saw Ellie's cat. Then, a dagger pierced through his ankle. He fell down the stairs as a result. But when the girl in front of him removed her mask, it revealed the face of his deceased wife. It turned out that Justin had also resurrected his wife before. But in the end, he was the only one in his family who survived. In the end, Justin didn't get revenge on Ellie either. He paid the price for his past actions. Now, let's shift to Louis's side. His wife returned home with their son. Seeing her husband safe, she hugged him excitedly and mentioned their son's strange behavior. However, when she noticed her husband's muddy shoes and his hands stained with blood, a sense of foreboding crept into her heart.
Elephant! The great and terrible. Are you happy, Mommy?
Feeling her daughter's cold temperature, her heart was filled with terror. In the end, she couldn't accept this reality. She carried her son and headed upstairs.
She doesn't want me here.
No. Mommy just needs time.
It's okay. I don't want her here either.
No matter how much Louis tried to explain, she knew deep down that the person downstairs was not their former daughter. Just then, they heard a noise outside the door. Louis thought his daughter had run outside in distress, so he immediately chased after her. What no one expected was that Ellie hadn't actually left the house, and while Rachel was resting,
Stop struggling, you useless cow.
Louis had already arrived at Justin's house. When he saw the cat in the dining room and Justin's body, he finally realized the enormity of his mistake, so he rushed back home immediately. As he reached the door, he saw his wife holding their son by the window. He caught their son from downstairs, but Ellie's knife had already plunged into Rachel's back. Louis immediately put his son in the car and rushed upstairs.
Daddy said there was nothing after this. Well, he was wrong. But it's not heaven. You're going there soon, Mommy.
Don't call me Mommy. You're not my daughter. Ellie's dead.
Go be with her.
When Louis reached the top floor, his wife spoke her final words to him.
Don't bury me in that place.
What?
Ellie dragged her mother to the pet cemetery and buried her. When Louis woke up, he immediately went downstairs to check on his son in the car. Then he ran straight to the pet cemetery. As soon as he arrived, he heard his daughter's voice. Ellie blamed him for moving to the suburbs and creating a monster like him. Then she stabbed Louis. But Ellie was just a child after all. Even though Louis was injured, he managed to pin her to the ground, just as Louis was about to end it all.
I thought we could be a family. I wanted to be a family, but we can't.
We can.
He too was dragged deep into the cemetery. The next day, when Peter woke up in the car, he saw his family walking towards him. It felt like his familiar mom and dad were back by his side. I know by this point, everyone must have a lot of questions. For example, Tom's frequent appearances. I suspect that perhaps after Louis died, through Tom's spirit, he sent some information to his past self to prevent the tragedy from happening again. This also explains why he tried so hard to stop Louis from resurrecting his daughter, and why he warned his wife to come home after the resurrection, and on her way back, and on his wife's way back home. Through the rearview mirror, we can see he has been following Rachel all along. As for Justin, who clearly knows the side effects of resurrection, why would he still tell Louis this secret? From the details in the film, we can also infer that Justin had made the same mistake before, but years of loneliness made him unable to resist Ellie's sudden arrival. Although the dog he resurrected before was very aggressive, Ellie's cat was gentle when alive, and its size was small. To keep Ellie from being heartbroken, he made this wrong decision. In fact, the film also weaves in many of Rachel's past experiences. It is roughly that she had an older sister who suffered from a spinal disease, and when Rachel was delivering food to her again, due to a machine malfunction, her sister fell and died. I think what the director wants to express through these past fragments is, Rachel firmly believes in the principle that the deceased should rest in peace. At the same time, another behavioral logic is, Rachel fears death due to childhood trauma, which also led her to return to her parents' home after her daughter's death. If she had stayed by her husband's side, perhaps none of the tragedies would have happened. The director uses a horror story to tell us to learn to accept loss, face death, and reconcile with the past. Perhaps each of us will encounter big and small accidents, but what we should do most is cherish every day in the present. Even if a loved one passes away, I believe their spirits in heaven also hope to see us have a better life and future. Finally, what I want to say is, never use your phone while driving. If an accident happens, it will shatter two families. See you next time, everyone.